Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today we're going to be talking about oxygen sensors, or also known as O2 sensors. And basically I'm just going to be covering the overall functionality of what they do, terminology that's used to describe their placement, and then where they're located under the car. We'll take a look at that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Now before we actually get under the vehicle, I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview as far as what the oxygen sensors are and kind of their history. A lot of times we hear them used in newer vehicles, you know, with the O2 sensors and oxygen sensors. We have the OBD2 scanners and diagnostic readers that people use, and we can kind of track their performance. But really, they were originally introduced in 1976. Volvo was the first one, I believe, to put them into a vehicle. And the main point of that is they're mounted into the exhaust manifold, and they track basically how much unburned oxygen is in the exhaust system when it exits the engine. And you ask why that's important. Well, basically that helps gauge the fuel mixture, and these will then report back to the computer, letting your computer know if the mixture is running either too rich, which means that it has less oxygen, or if it's too lean, which basically means it has more oxygen. Now when you first start your car's computer will by default go into a rich fuel mixture to get the car started with a cold start, and that's until the O2 sensor reaches its operating temperature and it starts communicating with the computer. That's known as an open loop. Now once your O2 sensor reaches operating temperature, then it'll start communicating back to the computer. It'll get that mixture adjusted properly. Now if it fails to go into a closed loop, maybe the O2 sensor's failing, then what you'll have is a out of whack mixture, which will result in fuel consumption, emissions issues. In some cases the car can even start jerking and it'll start sputtering because the mixture is just all out of whack. And in those cases you want to hook up to your diagnostic reader, and I'm going to show you that soon, how when we plug in you can check the readings on your O2 sensors, but that'll let you know if it's failing or not. You'll also be getting a check engine light will go off, and it'll be generating a code letting you know which sensor it is, whether it's bank 1, bank 2, sensor 1, sensor 2, all that, and then you just need to replace it at that point. Now the last thing I wanted to talk about before we get started here is basically the function, just a basic function of the O2 sensor. Now these sensors basically, they function as like a mini generator, in that they pretty much produce their own voltage when they get hot. Now I'm going to show you an image of one, and you'll notice in that image is you have a long piece, the part that screws into the exhaust, that's vented. Well, inside that vent there's a zirconium ceramic bulb, which is coated in a layer of platinum. The outside of the bulb is exposed to the hot gases inside the exhaust system, while the internal part of the bulb is actually vented internally through the sensor to the outside atmosphere. Now most people, they'll wait until the O2 sensors or oxygen sensors fail before they replace them, which is kind of what I do a lot, I gotta be honest. But it's actually good to kind of check their health when you do your routine maintenance, because just changing them out just as they start to wear and get older can drastically change your fuel efficiency instead of waiting for them to completely fail. So that pretty much wraps up just this overview. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood so we can go ahead and start with getting into this. So let's do it. Basically, when you're dealing with a vehicle and the oxygen sensors, some vehicles have 2, some have 4, depending on the engine size. This right here is a V8 that we're going to be looking at, so I'm going to show you on that. Some V6s also have 4. 4 cylinders usually have 2. And basically what that is you have different banks. You have a bank 1 and a bank 2, depending on what side of the engine it's on. And let's get in here closer and I'll explain that more in depth to you. On this particular engine here, this is a 5.3 liter V8. You have obviously 4 cylinders on each side. Cylinder 1 is on the driver's side. Cylinder 2 is on the passenger side. So when you're looking at the terminology used on oxygen sensors, your bank 1, bank 2, the bank 1 is the side of the engine that has cylinder 1, and then bank 2 is the side of the engine where cylinder 2 is located. So that at least gets you in the right direction. So on this particular vehicle, bank 1 is going to be the driver's side, bank 2 is going to be the passenger side. So let's head underneath the vehicle now, and then I'll explain to you as far as the different sensor 1, sensor 2, upstream, downstream, all that terminology, and kind of help you understand where these different sensors are located. All right, so we're underneath the vehicle now, and I just want to kind of identify the different locations, the different terminology used for these oxygen sensors. Right here we have a catalytic converter, and I'll get a close-up of that for you.
This one here is bank 2 because it's on the cylinder 2 side, which is the passenger side. Then we have bank 1, which is on the driver's side for cylinder 1. Each one of those has 2 sensors. You have one sensor that comes before the catalytic converter, after the exhaust manifold. That is going to be your sensor 1, or also referred to as upstream.
And you'll see here, this is the exhaust coming down. This right here is sensor 1, because this is between the engine and the catalytic converter. So that's sensor 1. Working your way down on the other side of the catalytic converter right here, this would be right here sensor 2. That's after the catalytic converter, and then going down to the muffler and the exhaust. So a lot of times this one's called downstream, and that one is called upstream. And depending on what kind of a vehicle you have in the engine, that may be all you have. It's just one upstream and one downstream. On this particular vehicle, we have 4 because it's a V8. So you have a bank 1, bank 2, sensor 1, sensor 2. And on this side here, your oxygen sensor is actually on the side and not on the top.
So just to kind of recap, we have bank 1 and bank 2, which is going to determine what cylinder side of the engine it's on if you're dealing with a bigger engine, like a V8 or in some cases some V6s. Some V6s just have one bank and you only have 2 sensors, and pretty much all your 4 cylinders also just have one bank and just 2 sensors, an upstream and a downstream. But in this case with the bigger engine, you're going to have a bank 1 and a bank 2. You're going to have an upstream and a downstream sensor. Upstream is usually your sensor 1, which comes before the catalytic converter. And then you have your downstream, or sensor 2, which is the oxygen sensor that comes after the catalytic converter, going out towards your muffler.
All right, well, we're inside the car now. The last thing I want to show you is basically how you can check your the health of these O2 sensors using a diagnostic reader. For this particular video here, I'm actually just using a Bluetooth plug-in using the app called Torque Pro, which I highly recommend getting that app if you don't have it. It's got some amazing tools to track a lot of the performance on the engine and transmission. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Well, I have it connected right now to the ECU. That right there is our O2 sensor, bank 1, sensor 1, as you can see up top, O2 1 1. Typically, when you're dealing with these O2 sensors, they generate up to about 0.9 volts when the fuel mixture is rich and there's not much unburned oxygen in the exhaust. Now, as the mixture gets more lean, basically the output voltage will drop to about 0.1. So you can see right there on that chart, it ranges between 0.1 and 0.9. The car is not on right now, so you see it's just level. I'm going to go ahead and load in the other 3 sensors, and then we'll turn the engine on and I'll show you how we're tracking the performance. Okay, well, we have all the sensors in, and you can see right here we have bank 1 sensor 2, we have bank 2 sensor 2, bank 1 sensor 1, bank 2 sensor 1. So we have all 4 sensors here. So now we're going to go ahead and start the engine, and you'll see how they will change. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can see their voltage fluctuating, and as I start to heat them up, we'll give a little bit of increase the RPMs a little bit. You see that? You see sensor, let's see, we have bank 1 and bank 2. You'll see sensor 1 is starting to heat up, see the movement, and the sensor 2s aren't there yet, but here we go. But as the temperature goes up, you start to see them changing, and then as you let off the acceleration, you'll see that the voltage starts to come back up. Voltage starts to come back up because what we want is we want the voltage to drop to about 0.1 when the mixture is lean, because right now there's not much unburned oxygen in there, so it's generating approximately 0.9. Up in the 0.9 area of the fuel mixture, it's still rich, but as it warms up, it'll start to
the mixture will start to get lean, and you'll see the voltage will drop to about 0.1. So let's see here. You'll see right here it's already dropping on this one right here. That one there, we're down to 0.03. So all of these sensors are definitely performing. So here we go, as we increase it. You see that? So this is a very cool tool to track the performance of your O2 sensors. And as mentioned before, this is Torque Pro. Okay, well you can see now we have the engine running at the operating temperature. Basically with oxygen sensors, they need to be hot before they'll start generating a voltage signal, usually about 600 degrees or hotter. But it's interesting because your top graphs up there, the charts, those are for sensors 2 on bank 1 and bank 2, and you'll see that they're running at approximately 0.7 volts, which is interesting because basically an oxygen sensor, it'll generate around 0.9 volts when the fuel mixture is rich and there's little unburned oxygen in the exhaust. So they're running about 0.7, which is saying that the sensor 1s are basically burning all of the unburned oxygen, because as it's going through catalytic converter and making it to the sensor 2, there's not much unburned oxygen that's reaching them. So the sensor 1s on both sides are doing their job, and you can clearly see them fluctuating between 0.1 and 0.9. And basically they'll drop to around 0.1 volts when the mixture is lean. So just by seeing that there, we can see that all 4 sensors are functioning properly. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up this video on just an overview on the oxygen and O2 sensors. I've dealt with them before, and I figured it'd be cool to do a video just kind of explaining it to people, what they are, what they do. I hope this video helped you out and was informative. Please send me any questions, any comments. I would love to hear from you. As always, I appreciate all the support out there. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.